But we're talking about a guy the last 4 seasons has the most, well, second most, I would say, yards from scrimmage than any other running back. The only person ahead of him is Derrick Henry. But you're talking about a guy that's going to be able to allow Breece Hall, your young phenomenal running back, to heal correctly and gradually work his way back to this team in the way that they want to probably use him. So I love this signing for the New York Jets, and it puts him a step closer to their common goal.
So I'm going to say 2 things, because I've heard 2 not necessarily criticisms of this move, but 2 ways in which it's being questioned. And neither one of them makes sense to me. The first of them is, was this a need? Did the Jets need this? And I will say that anytime you are making any sort of move in life, it is always better to do so from a position of strength than a position of weakness. So Tim Hasselbeck, I will take us all back a couple of years ago when Odell Beckham decided, when he left Cleveland with the whole mess with the Baker's father and all that, and he goes to L.A. And I remember everyone saying, well, the Rams don't really need him. And like a week later, Robert Woods went down with an ACL, and OBJ would have been the MVP of the Super Bowl. So you just never know. Something that is a luxury on Monday could easily wind up being a necessity on Wednesday. How about that?
Yeah, listen, that is a very fair point. I've said it was a loaded running back room with young players. Look, I don't believe that adding Dalvin Cook is necessarily a bad thing at all. I think it probably provides some more competition to kind of stir up in the running back room. Now, saying all of that, Greeny, you do have to think you are dealing with people. And so while you might say, hey, from a team's perspective, look, this is good for us. We have all these good players. Fine. Breece Hall was off to an amazing year last year. Yes, he's coming off of an ACL injury. How many touches is he getting now? Like, how is he embracing this? I get it that Aaron wants to win, you want to win, Dalvin Cook wants to win, all of that. You still are dealing with people, their careers, the future, their development. And so how the rest of that running back room embraces this, I think ends up, being somewhat of a factor. So, like, I'm not going to say that there's absolutely no negative to doing something like this. Yeah, of course it's giving you depth. If there's injuries, it protects you. It's insurance against all of that stuff. But the rest of the running back room has to embrace it that same way. Look, I've heard people say, like, look, Breece Hall is going to say, look, I don't have to rush back. That's not how he's thinking of this. Breece Hall is thinking, wait a second. I was going from 15 touches a game or more to how many times am I touching the ball a game now? So, like, it's not as smooth as just, hey, add it to the room and everything's going to be fine.
Here's what I will say to that in the long run, and this is my honest opinion, having nothing to, this would be the best thing that ever happened to Breece Hall. Because when he gets through his 3 years and 4 years, he actually doesn't have a 5th year because he was not a first-round pick. The fewer touches he has, the fewer times he's been hit, the better off he'll be.
And that, Tim brings up a good point, because even listening to Michael Carter talking about this situation, Dalvin Cook is a phenomenal talent, but we don't need him in this room. I need Breece Hall and these guys to understand that
yes,
Greeny, I'm excited.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
I need Breece to understand this. You are a big winner in this.
Big.
Because the competitor in you is saying, I need to go out there and get my carries back. No, you don't. Because I was there when the Jets drafted you. I talked to Robert Saleh the night that you were picked, and he was like, I'm so happy. This guy's a home run hitter. You are the future. But to build a championship team, you do need depth. You do need to have long-term vision and perspective. And you do have to understand that you bring in a guy like Dalvin, yeah, he may get more touches early. But this is your team, and you will be there in the end.
Right.
So by end of the season, this is going to be a Dak Breece situation, and you have to embrace that and think bigger picture.
Now, let me talk to you a second here, Harry. and I'd say 2 things about that to you. 1, there were 3 things in life you could not have too much of. You can't be too handsome. You can't have too much money, and you can't have too many running backs. It's not possible. Having more than one good quarterback can be a problem. I get it, because only one of them can play. The running backs, they can all play. And the second thing, do you know what the magic elixir to a disgruntled running back room is? Aaron Rodgers. He walks in the door and says, guys, jump in line. And if they don't listen, then they're never going to listen. I think Rodgers solves all those problems by himself.
Well, I think that was one of the reasons why Dalvin Cook is being brought in, because with Aaron Rodgers, a player of his caliber, the trust factor. Not saying that he doesn't trust those young guys, but when you have a player like Dalvin Cook that has done it for a very long time at a high level, Aaron Rodgers feels like he can trust that guy. through thick and thin. Also, man, when I played on the teams of the Atlanta Falcons, where we had a lot of success, we had Michael Turner, Jarius Norwood, and Jason Snelling. We were 3 running back deep. Michael Turner was the main guy, but those other 2 guys got a lot of action as well. And they embraced that role amongst each other as a group, and it made that room very successful.
Look, the bottom line of it, I understand what you're saying, Tim. I understand these are human beings, but I also think that that's more of a quarterback issue than it is a running back issue. At the end of the day, if everyone involved doesn't understand that we are living in a 1-year window here, I mean, with Rodgers is the definition of a year by year. I know he keeps saying he wants to play longer than that, and knock on wood, hopefully he will. But to me, Tim, there is no question the Jets are doing this exactly right. When you get Rodgers, you go all in, whatever it takes. And anyone who's not on board with that can get out, and it's as simple as that. Tim, final word.
Listen, look, I agree with Joe Douglas and Robert Saleh. And Greeny, I agree with what you're saying in terms of, look, Dalvin Cook helps us. I think we are kidding ourselves, though. If you look at that running back room, and Kimberly talked about Michael Carter's comments, like it's a bunch of unselfish guys, like high-fiving each other in that running back, being like, hey, we got Dalvin, we got Dalvin. Like, wait a second. Like, Breece Hall is not saying, oh, hey, good thing, when my contract's up in 4 years, people are going to go look back to 2023 and being like, remember that year? There's not a lot of wear and tear that year. That's not how it works. That is not how it works at all. They're looking at your production. And if you're watching Dalvin Cook play, you're not producing. So, that's not how it works. So, the reality is, for the team, sure, if you have unselfish players.
Of his next 2 years were guaranteed. He'll still be a free agent after 2024, and you see all that money now becomes guaranteed. So isn't this interesting, Kmart? That it was not, I feel like it was like a week ago, Jerry Jones, what was he telling us?
Why would Jerry be telling us that he's broke? Yeah, Jerry was lying. I mean, that's the reality. Because I think the lesson here for people to understand is there is money when they want to pay you, when they value, when you are a difference maker, when you're generational, when they see you, they see your value, they will find money somehow. And I think Jerry talking about, oh, well, we got to pay Micah, and like, oh, well, Zack made money on his first deal, da-da-da-da-da. Jerry understands, oh, wait a minute, we opened the season against the Giants and the Jets. We need our offensive line to be intact. And I think this is a wonderful thing. The Martin family group chat is on and popping. We are very happy for Zack because, in my opinion, he's paramount to this team's success.
Well, I mean, you went so far as to say this morning in our meeting you think he might be the most important player on that whole team. Yeah,
I think he is. Because I get it, and this is no shade to Micah Parsons, who is phenomenal in his own right. But if Dak Prescott were to take the field in week 1, and Zack Martin is not there, I don't care about Tony Pollard, it's not going to work. This offense, whatever, aggressive but efficient, all that, it's down the tubes. Because we talk so much, we saw it in this first week of preseason. Offensive line, games are run in the trenches. And if you have any questions on your offensive line, you're in trouble. And I think Zack Martin, he is the guy in that position.
And the game sort of evolves and changes all the time. And I'm not suggesting offensive tackle isn't still paramount, but the way the game is played now with these defensive tackles who put pressure in the quarterback's face immediately and disrupt everything, those interior linemen, I think, are more focused on than ever. So, Tim, how do we sum up the significance of this? 2 days ago, it looked like we were in real trouble on Zack Martin. Now all is well. How would you put into words the importance of this?
Well, it's certainly important. He's an excellent player, and really this made so much sense for both sides, right? Like the Cowboys need him, and this was getting really expensive for Zack Martin in terms of holding out. I don't care how much money you've made. You start racking up $50,000 a day that, doesn't get forgiven. Like that's a problem. So it makes sense for both sides. He's an excellent player. If they want to run the football more, which is been the message since Kellen Moore was, they parted ways with Kellen Moore. Like the reality is like they needed this to happen. It made sense for Zack Martin. They're a better team for it. Listen, I'm not going to say that he's the most important player on their Cowboys team, Pretty sure that's the quarterback still. Feel pretty confident about that. But ultimately, yeah, this is good for Dallas.
Okay, so let me just look this up. So the quarterback on our team says that the quarterback is the most important player on their team. Let's write that down.
He does touch the ball every snap. Like, I'm just saying this. Like, he does touch the ball and make a decision every single down. But,
I understand.
okay.
The quarterbacks are hilarious to me, Tim, because whenever bad things happen, I always hear from you how it's a dependent position, right? Oh, well, the quarterback can't do everything, and then all of a sudden, now all of it, that's not, who cares about the guard? You know, we need the quarterback. One way or another. Dak Prescott can't do his thing. Tony Pollard can't do his thing. Mike McCarthy can't do his thing. None of them can do a thing without Zack Martin on the field.
I think when you look at Zack Martin, I think the thing that sticks out to me is consistency.
Yeah.
Right? And a guy that's been tough, a guy that's been disciplined, a guy that you can count on. When you have that guy and he's done all those things for your organization, I think it's right by Jerry Jones to pay that player. But I'm going to add a commandment. Thou shalt not talk salary cap anymore to me. Because what I've been learning the last 2 years is that there are ways to finesse that salary cap
Saints have been
to
doing
get people paid.
Right.
I don't want to hear anything about no salary cap anymore.
Right. So what you're saying, no, I like that. Pick up on that thought a little bit. That Jerry Jones literally looked right at us. He looked us right in the face. And he said, well, look, I got to pay Micah. And I can't do an imitation of him.
I know.
I do. I got to pay Micah. I got to pay Micah.
That's better than me. He's got to pay Micah, and he's got to pay C.D. Lamb, and then they just paid Trayvon Diggs. And yet, if they want to pay Zack Martin, they will pay Zack Martin.
They're going to figure out a way to get it done. It's different ways. You can alter people's contract, but they always have the money. They just say they don't because they're billionaires, and that's how they're trained to express themselves. We don't have money because they want to keep it.
Some things are just Belichickian, and this one feels very Belichicky to me. He always brings in these players that we don't expect much from anymore. Darrelle Revis, we thought he was done. Randy Moss, nobody wanted him. Wes Welker, no one had heard of him. Corey Dillon, we thought his best years were behind him. And they always have huge years when they get to New England. This feels like just the kind of move that winds up working. Tim, the significance, if you will, of Zeke Elliott to the New England Patriots.
Well, listen, I think it adds depth at the position, and truthfully, it's been running back by committee in New England for a long time. So between Ramondre Stevenson, Ezekiel Elliott, Ty Montgomery, I think we're going to see all backs. I think we end up seeing Ezekiel Elliott being kind of a situational runner for them. He still runs with a ton of power. He's a physical back. He'll be an excellent short yardage and goal line back. I don't think we'll see him play much on third down. And so I think if you look at the money, I think it'll give you a glimpse anyway, what you think the role might be. And I believe that's as a situational player.
What do you think, Harry?
Yeah, I agree with Tim. You look at a guy like Ezekiel Elliott. Well, first, let me start with the Patriots.
Yeah.
The last 2 years, they had a 1-2 punch, right? And Ramondre Stevenson and also Damian Harris. Damian Harris is no longer there. So this signing, I thought, was needed for New England for depth at that position. But when you look at Zeke, I don't think he can still be a difference maker like he was when he was rushing for, 1,200 yards plus. I think he's a guy, short yardage, goal line situations, when you want to put him in there for pass protection. He's really good at that as well. But we can't sleep on his ability to be able to catch the ball out of the backfield, right? 2018 to 2021, this is a running back that had 45 receptions or more, so he can still do that. But I think it's a solid signing. But that physical presence, when Ezekiel Elliott is running the football with this pass behind him, defenders understand that they better bring their hard hat and their lunch pail. And I do believe the New England Patriots are going to go back to an old-style type of football, offensive-wise, the game plan that they are so accustomed to playing with. Yeah. Run the football, throw the ball between the numbers and the hashes to tight ends, and let the offense eat that way and play some great defense as well.
Feels very Belichicky to me. How'd this happen, Kmart?
I think this was similar to Dalvin. The moment he went to New England, people thought, oh, yeah, he's going to sign with the Patriots because he had a visit. It went great. Even went to dinner with Mac Jones, Ramondre Stevenson. And even I had heard from players like, oh, yeah, he's about to sign. So it was surprising that he left the building without a deal. But it was always the thought, New England will get him. It's just a matter of when. And I think for Zeke, he was used to being the guy in Dallas for a long time. And now he's had to come to terms with, okay, I got to compliment somebody else. Now he's got a year to prove that he has something left, which is, a lot. There are teams that don't believe he has anything left. So this is a great opportunity for him to show these.
Fresh haircut, too.
fresh hair, new number,
What?
new zip code. Yes, hopefully he has a good season.
All right, so you got Zeke in New England. You got Dalvin Cook with the Jets. We know the Bills are really good. We know the Dolphins are loaded. So what does all this mean for the top of the AFC East? I don't know what the picks are. We all know who I'm taking, but I asked everyone to pick your... No. This is no good. This is not... No. Stand by. I have one hard, fast rule, and that is if everyone thinks something is going to happen, it's not.
We did it. We killed the Jets season.
Everyone,
right there.
you think the Jets are going to win the division?
I've been on the Jets
No,
for a very, very
Harry,
long time.
a lie. We have done First Take where you have chosen the Dolphins. Change it.
Change
Change
something.
It.
Cindy,
wait a
We
minute.
I don't care what we do.
You are.
Wait a minute.
Do not lie.
No, sometimes
on
you
this.
gotta have receipts.
No, Cindy.
You gotta have receipts.
I don't even know what this is.
And you pick.
We changed it. Harry, look at this. I don't care what it is. Thank you.
You gotta have receipts.
No, keep changing it. That's good. That's perfect. Harry, pick any one of these you want. It's like a slot machine. Just tell her when you want it to stop. All right. The only one you're not allowed to take. No, you can't stop it on the Jets. No, stop it on Buffalo. I don't care which one. Give everybody else someone else. Under no circumstances can we all be taking the Jet because there's only one. Look at that thing. I didn't even know we could do that. That is awesome. No, but whatever you do, don't leave this one up on the screen.
Yeah,
no one take a picture. I don't ever want to see that one again.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.